They want to keep you from reuniting with your twin flame. A spark of the Godhead that is reunited instead of separated is very powerful indeed. Me, Ivo, can you please tell us about this? I have the distinct impression that the Dark Ones were trying to keep me from you all my life, even more so because of what you just said about me dating. You said the only way I would relate to men, in the end, was if I was trapped in an abusive relationship. Violence was the only way I'd have anything to do with dating anymore, so they sent me a bipolar, crack-addicted, alcoholic, and I lived with him for 3 years as roommates. I had to run from a beating, and fortunately I already had a plan in place to leave him, so I just implemented that plan. But I found your comments interesting. You said how all my life I'd left one man after the next because I was looking for you, and the only way to keep me with an Earth man was to trap me into a relationship I couldn't get out of. But I still did. Really, they seem to have been trying to set me up with a handler or at least a major energy vampire, and I just kept breaking up with them. I just knew I was better than what they had to offer. How have they been trying to keep me from you all my life, and in the same token, how have the Dark Ones been trying to keep others from their ET twin flames? Many people who follow us are light workers and have ET twin flames who haven't incarnated on Earth. Using us as an example, how has the Dark tried to keep them apart? And why? Ivo, for starters, my love, they tried to kill you. Me, yeah, I think there were a couple incidents when I was a teenager. You stopped this, of course, because I'm still alive. How does that work? Ivo, at this time, we were not guarding you with the intensity that we are now. We did have the plasma ball that follows you around, which enables us to watch your every move. Me, like including what I did with the Barbie and Ken dolls? Ivo, lol, yes. You had an early interest in sexuality, which the Dark Ones later exploited. Me, lol, I'm a Scorpio. How did they do this? Ivo, you will notice that none of the men that showed interest in you were outstanding citizens, my love. The Dark Ones were out to abuse you in any way they could, and it was necessary for you to suffer through this in order for you to gain strength. Me, yes. I was basically done with that by the time I was 30. I'd stopped dating really by that time already. Ivo, yes, because so many of the problems you had encountered came through men. Although they did not seem to remind you of your father, there were elements in their abuse of you that were certainly narcissistic. Your aura left you open to experiencing these types of abuse. And you were interested in men, so the Dark arranged their interest in you. Me, I've noticed since I've gone through Dark Night of the Soul, I can sense the energy from malevolent men and pass them over. I remember one guy on a motorcycle while I was out traveling, and the energy that came off of him was horrendous. I just walked on by. Didn't make like I even noticed him, but I could tell he was sure interested in me. Ivo, your relationships were about keeping your frequency low. And you have had to learn to use them to reflect the inherent goodness and power within yourself, which you have. Me, yes, adversity makes people stronger. Ivo, you will notice that any male who got close to you had ill intent, for many years. The other men who you dated who were not so malevolent, lost interest in you and did not pursue. It was all orchestrated. Me, again, folks, I don't want you to get the impression that I'm male bashing. I've had a lot of bad experiences with men, but I know there are some really wonderful men out there, and I'm sure a lot of them follow me. That, unfortunately, was the path I had to take to realize my own power. Nice men go through similar things with not nice women too. It's just I don't talk about them because I'm a heterosexual woman. Ivo, you will also notice, my love, that your goal was to go to Sweden to find a Swedish man, a Nordic in other words. You were looking for me. Our native tongue sounds like a Scandinavian language as well. You understand that you did not make it to Sweden, and obviously I would not have been there, but your plans were not realized. Ivo, we have worked more and more to protect you as time passed. At that time your higher frequency was still detectable by them, it is not anymore. The reason we did not protect you as much in the first half of your life was because you needed to be exposed to these dangers. Me, what can someone else expect? Someone who's not me, but I'm assuming a light worker as well. Ivo, many light workers have come to raise the divine feminine energies on earth. The way to do this is to personally take on evil and defeat it. So many people, not just women, but men as well, because both genders encompass both energies, male and female, experience abusive relationships. Your ET teams are working with you to help you see the light as quickly as possible. There are some teams who undertake extra protection when the light worker is not capable of self-protection or their frequency is still too low, and this can take place in many forms such as guarding, where perhaps the light worker is seeing ships from time to time but they do not make contact. No, they are there to guard you. They are letting you see them so you understand you are protected, but they do not make contact because it is not time for you to make physical contact with them yet. Me, Ivo, other ways you are protected is you are sent people who work with your higher self and guides on relieving you of your situation. For example, in Sheran's case, her final landlord in Toronto who worked with Glenn and Sheran to facilitate their breakup. Had he held Sheran accountable for the excess of belongings she had left behind, Glenn may have had a chance to facilitate a reunion for them. When in fact, it was actually Sheran's time to depart the relationship. So we called in help in the way of the higher self of the building owner to help facilitate Sheran's leaving with ease. Me, yes, it was easy. Ivo, yes. Other light workers will experience this as well. A third or fourth party will enter into the situation to help the light worker to leave an abusive relationship. This facilitator is called in by the higher self of the light worker. Look back at your relationships. Who aided your leaving when it was bad for you? Or did some fortuitous incident facilitate your breakup? For example, your doctor is mistreating you, and this happens to light workers as well, and this doctor retires, leaving you to find another doctor who treats you perfectly. This has also happened to Sheran. In the same vein, we realized that Sheran wanted to start a business in Toronto, and we needed to get her out of that city, so her boss at the coffee shop was commissioned to fire her from the shop so she would have no place to run when Glenn was manic. She left Toronto less than a year later. There are helpers all along the way for all of you. Maybe a parent. A parent who perhaps usually abuses but suddenly is helping is one you may suspect of being an earth angel, at least temporarily. My love, the Dark Ones understood that when you stopped seeking a man on earth, you would realize your true reality, that you are not from earth. And they tried to keep you distracted by sending you men. You cooperated, of course, because you were seeking a relationship as well, but a better one than any of them had to offer you. You were in love with Starfleet's Captain Kirk at 8 years old, somehow sensing you were the partner of a spaceship commander. You also woke up crying one morning in your late 30s, declaring you knew you were in love with a man you saw while you slept, but you did not know who he was. The Dark Ones knew you were close your entire life to understanding your true reality, and they kept you as distracted as possible. They feared your reading spiritual books, they did not even like your seeing psychics. They kept you distracted with trying to make a living as a business person in Toronto, and having horrible relationships with men. It was our job to get you to leave that city and to get you to stop dating. Other light workers will find their guides working double time as well to put them on the right track. At times, moves are required, or break UPS. You have a contract to fulfill which you agreed to before birth, and nothing else will suffice for you. You will not be fully satisfied until you do. Another tactic that all light workers must bear in mind is the Dark will send you a handler, someone who is aware of your status either physically or non-physically but who works with the Dark to keep you down. Other options for them is harassment either on a non-physical or physical level. Some of you wake up with scratches or bruises in the morning and this is because you may have been attacked at night time, or in the case of light warriors, you were the attacker. A clever tactic that was used in Sheran's case was the example of Tertian, who was Sheran's personal reptilian. Tertian has been dispatched. Sheran had the pleasure of ridding the earth of him personally, and we did celebrate his fate. Tertian was a red-eyed reptilian whose job it was to ensure Sheran was kept in the most danger possible throughout her life. If not able to kill her, Tertian was there to ensure she would suffer throughout her lifetime, and he did it with gusto. Sheran could have had more favorable relationships with her father, her mother, and with the men she worked with and dated were it not for Tertian. He could jump into the energy field of any of these people, and more, to turn them against her. Sheran will note that people behaved in predictable ways, one person replicating the abusive ways of the other, and this was partly due to the Matrix but also due to Tertian, who put his personal style into his abuse of her. Tertian was afoot the day your father pulled into the reptile house to show you snakes. Sheran was beyond scared and Tertian was gloating at the reaction he could have over her. It was Sheran's job to rid herself of him and learn to forgive all he had influenced. Many of you have your own personal reptilian guards as well. This is not specific to Sheran. In our videos we use Sheran as an example, but the information we impart relates to all of you. Many of you have astral guards and handlers in the physical. They do not want you connecting with your ET team and particularly your twin flame because the power of a divided piece of the Godhead that comes together is unstoppable. It is not double, it is an exponent of 2, multiplied exponentially by 1,000 times. There are other tactics that are used to brainwash the light worker. Aside from manipulating low self-esteem, also manipulating the light worker into believing they do not want a relationship, or that nobody wants them, that the light worker is asexual, antisocial, many ways they influence your mind to keep you from embracing anyone else, particularly your ET team and twin flame. Many ways. It is a question of understanding the personality of the light worker and how it can be exploited. Well, this was interesting, Ivo. Maybe we'll work on this subject more later but we can start with this. Ivo, I thank you, my love, for allowing me to share this.